Good evening, everyone. How are you? My name is Nikki C. Patterson. I am the owner and operator of I Prevail K through 12 Educational Consulting. At this consulting agency, I teach parents how to disrupt the one size fits all policies of the public school system that do not lend their children to receiving a quality education. As an educator in the public school system for more than a decade, I have learned proven tips and strategies to successfully help your child, over 1,000 students, as well as my own child, to make sure that they can succeed inside and outside of the classroom. Well, if you know me, I do not go live. I love to write, but I do not like video. I'm a hand talker. No, but let me stop. But I do like to write. But a lot of the time, things are misconstrued in text versus actually speaking it. So when parents ask me a question, I typically want to come live so that if I am giving them a response to their question, that they are actually able to not only hear what I'm saying, but also hear the tone in what I'm saying. Sometimes my words can come off with a lot of passion and purpose, and they are seen, I guess, seen as anger, and they're not necessarily anger. They're passion, they're righteous indignation, and they're literally what I feel for what we should be doing as parents of students in the public school system. So today's question is, hey, you've given us 2 pointers as far as the 4 Ds of successfully helping our child to get a quality education. What's pointer number 3? And I definitely want to come through with pointer number 3, but on last night, that was a decision that happened in our parish that is going to drastically change how our public school systems are performing and how they're seen by the outsiders as well as insiders. And that decision was basically our superintendent of the last 2 years has been demoted, or the board has decided not to renew his contract. This is a devastating blow for a lot of our children, our schools, because we were moving in a direction that we had never seen before, whether positive or negative. It's too early to tell, but what I can say is that a lot of what's going on is basically things that have been going on for years. Party lines. That means out of our 5 districts that we have, or communities that we have Pierreport, Belrose, Napoleonville, Libertyville, and Pierreport. And I think I said it, or Bayou Lewis, excuse me. And so out of those communities, we have defined or distinguished races or cultures of people. Pierreport is a predominantly white culture. Their board members are predominantly white. Belrose area is a predominantly black culture. Their board members are predominantly black. Napoleonville kind of sort of goes both ways as far as black or white because they have a mixed population. Libertyville, one side is predominantly black and the other side is predominantly white, and their board members are split accordingly. And then Bayou Lewis has a very diverse population, but their board member is typically a white or someone of a non-black culture. And so as you see, we have 9 different areas, and those 9 board members, they vote based on their constituents. So when we were hiring the school board member, and I'm going back for so that we can see how we can move forward with this point. When we were hiring the board member, or when we were hiring our last superintendent, the superintendent choice came down to 2 decisions. There was our current superintendent, who was hired by a vote of 5-4. And there was another lady who basically was the dean of education for a local college here. And she had a doctorate degree. She was over the education department at the local college. However, because of whatever the constituents in the communities wanted, the man who had less qualifications and didn't have as much experience was hired. And the one thing that the community said was that he's from outside of the district. We hired someone who is not a good old boy. And I think from there it created some tensions and some divisions that people have not gotten over. And so tonight's or last night's decision, I feel, was a continuation of that. But here's one thing that I've always told my son: whoever controls the pen controls the decision. A vote of 5-4 to get a lesser qualified candidate in was because our non-black board members controlled the pen. However, a vote of 5-4 to get the superintendent out was because now our black board members controlled the pen. And when I say black, I mean John Beck represents a black ward, and so he voted based on, I guess, what his constituents, but also some unfairness that happened within his family lines. If you're not familiar, Mr. Riche is John Beck's son-in-law, and so that's a whole nother part. But I wanted to come in and give you those things because now we have a dynamic that has never been seen before. Yeah, we were all upset that Dr. Leslie Jones didn't get the position, and we wanted her to get the position. Everybody was upset that Mr. Couvion got the position, and they didn't want him to get the position. And so now it's more or less like, what did he do inside of the job? And I don't know if that was actually rated. And me coming in as a critical person, I am typically a fair person, and so that's my decision on all that has been done. Take it, love it, leave it, I don't care. But I'm not sure if, it was based on more vendetta, more party lines, or what he's actually capable of doing or what he actually did. I know as a parent, I removed my son because I didn't feel like the district had black students as a whole going forward. If we look at the data, the black schools are still failing 2 years later. I know a lot of the people that we heard from on last night's board members, as far as open comments, as far as written comments, as far as those who wanted to keep him, those were white constituents, those were white voters, those were white parents. A lot of black parents did not vote, and they did not have a say. So I'm not sure where they stand, but I know for me, August of 2019, I decided that the public school system in Assumption was not going to be the best decision for my son, so I removed him. And that takes us to point three. Determine if what is being given to train your child is going to be the best fit for what you have determined success to be. I determined success to be my son will graduate high school. My son will not be a behavior problem. My son will get a high school diploma. He will not enter the prison pipeline system, and that he will not become a statistic. Well, if I'm looking at the data for the schools that are actually falling into our school district or our communities, the Belrose School, Belrose Primary, has an F rating from the state. Belrose Middle has a D rating from the state. My address is Belrose, even though the bus that passes through our community goes to Napoleonville. Napoleonville Primary is a C, pretty much a D rating, if you really wanted to be honest. A 60-something is an F in the classroom, but it's like a C with the State Department. And I say all of that, and then you have Napoleonville Middle, which is like a C rating. I say all of that to say that Belrose Primary, Belrose Middle are predominantly black schools. Napoleonville Primary is a mixed school, but there is a large population of black students. Napoleonville Middle is a large population of mixed students, or black students as well. Pierrepont Primary and Middle, those are your predominantly white schools. Bayou Lewis Primary has a huge white population, but also like a Hispanic and some diversity back in there. Labadeville Primary has a majority population, but it's a very, it has a majority white population. Labadeville Middle School has a majority black population, or it's a mixed population. I said all of that to say your majority black schools in this district are failing. And so to not hear from parents to see what they wanted to say, and we're saying we're doing the best thing for our students, I didn't hear from black parents who were talking and saying we were doing the best things for our students. I'm not sure if the parents didn't understand or didn't know that the vote was going to happen. I'm not sure what happened, but I know as a black parent who's also an educator from the school system, I know that when I'm going to hear that the superintendent made strides and we moved black employment up from 5% to 15% when there was over 8 positions available, so that could have been at least a 40% gain, then I'm not sure if all of the decisions that were made for black people were in the best interest of black students. So I say all of that to say what happened tonight was definitely along party lines again. How the person got in is basically how the person got out. So I teach my son, whoever has the pen makes all the decisions. That's why for me, I'm going to determine what success looks like. When I started to look at and determine what success looked like, I didn't care who was around him, what was going on. What does success look like for my son? And is what he is currently getting going to help him to reach those success metrics? Well, I determined that was not going to be the case. And so I pulled him. He's homeschooled now, and he's doing a great job. My son was able to grow 3 grade levels My son left the public school system. He was in first grade. In August of 2019, he would have been starting second grade. By December of 2019, my son had already moved to third grade because we taught the standards that he needed. By February of 2020, my son was in fourth grade. And so now not only did he finish second grade skills, but he finished third grade skills, and we're working now to finish up the fourth grade skills. By June, we will be looking at the fifth grade skills so that he can be prepared. And so when I say success doesn't start with your child or their school, success starts with you, because as a teacher, I knew that I needed to make sure that my son was prepared for the next grade level. So, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that is influencing this video, and it may not even be something that is relevant to you at this point in time, but I am admonishing each and every one of you to get involved. Get involved. If you did not know what the problems in the public school system were prior to tonight, then I hope that you will go back and you will look at the Facebook Live video with the board minutes and the board meeting and see how they voted, what was talked about, how our board members that are representing us as a whole behaved and acted, how we need to come together for our children. If parents are going to come and speak up for their children, is what they're saying the best interest for your child? If it's not, then you need to speak up. I can guarantee you, and anyone who knows me knows that I was present for my child. And I say all of that to say, am I for Mr. Couvillon leaving? Am I against Mr. Couvillon? I don't have a dog in that fight. My son is not in that public school system. But I can tell you that if we continue to vote along party lines, then some districts are always going to get what they need and some districts are always going to not get what they need. We need to figure out what's best for the students of this district, of this parish, so that we can come together. Some of you may say, well, I'm not even sure what's going on in the parish. I don't have any understanding of it. I have written a book called How to Win as a Principal, and the book basically is my experience from being a child in the public school system, being a teacher in the public school system, and also being a parent in the public school system. And that looks at me as a black student, a black teacher, a black parent in the public school system. And it says, these are the problems that I saw. I saw a lack of low expectations. I saw a lack of rigor and relevance. I saw a lack of cultural diversity. And all of those things add to the performance scores that we see in our public schools for the black schools. There's a lot that we can go into, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I addressed what was going on in the board minutes and board meeting tonight, but I also wanted to address the parents. Guys, get involved. This is your child's education. This is the future that's going to be set for your child, the foundation that's set for their future. If they don't get a solid foundation now, they're going to struggle when they get to high school. And it won't be anyone's fault. Not the teachers, not that child's, but you have a perfect opportunity right now to get involved. If you do not have a copy of my book, I'm not saying it because I need your money or anything. I need you to understand what's going on in the system. This book was written for Assumption Parish parents. This book was written to improve Assumption Parish. I've always been successful in my classroom. Not one person can come and tell you, as much as Nikki speaks, Nikki was a great teacher. And not because she did anything other than made sure that her students' needs were met. And so that still goes with my son. I'm still teaching my son, still trying to make sure that those parents who reach out to me for any tips, strategies for their own child, that I'm providing those. Speaking of providing, I am providing a free question and answer session on Friday at 12 noon. The link is going to be dropped, but it's going to be on Friday at 12 noon on Facebook. And it's going to be in a private group because I want to hear the parents. I want to hear what's going on with the parents. I want to hear their concerns, their frustrations, their questions. I want to provide answers as best I can. But I don't want it to be a bashing session. I want it to be something that's helpful. So this is going to be 12. It's free. It is free. It is basically to hear your questions, concerns, and your comments, not about what's going on here, but how you can actually help your child to receive a quality education, especially in light of all that's happened this week with the not renewing of the superintendent's contract, the voting along party lines, COVID-19 decisions. All of these things need to be addressed so that your child can get a quality education. So I would love if you guys can drop me an email. Let me know that you're coming because you will need an email address to log in. So if you can, send me an email address or go under the post on my business page or my Facebook private page, and you can send the email address to info at Nikki NIKKI.com, and just let me know, hey Nikki, I'm in. I want the information that you have. Like I said, I do have a book available. It's called How to Win as a Principal, and this book basically provides a 9-step plan for principals to improve their low performing school. If the principals have a plan for improving their low performing school, then you can actually use that same plan to hold them accountable for creating success in their public school system. But if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. If you want to learn more about what I do, you can visit my website, www.nikkicpatterson.com. You can follow us on social media. We are I Prevail K through 12 Learning, or Nikki C. Patterson on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. I drop daily videos to show teaching tips that I'm using with my son, or just some of these videos that I'm having to share information. And that's Nikki C. Patterson on YouTube. Guys, look me up. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please do not hesitate to ask. But looking forward to the masterclass on Friday at 12 noon, and I just hope to see you guys there. If you want to schedule an appointment so that we can talk specifically about your child, you can reach out to me, Calendly. That's CALENDLY, Calendly.com/Nikki C. Patterson. That's Calendly.com/Nikki C. Patterson. Look forward to reaching out to you. But guys, the third step is basically to determine if what your child is being given is going to help them to reach a successful outcome. If it is not, then the fourth step is to do something. We'll talk about the fourth step on tomorrow. Talk to you guys later. Bye.